This is a teardown and feature overview of a Dell Optiplex 9020 small form factor. I received several of these from one of my regular suppliers the other day, and with how popular the last one of these I did was, I thought I'd do another one. These have similar capabilities to just about any other small form factor. I'm going to go over how to take this apart and specific useful feature information. So, first part to taking this apart, this right here lifts up and then it lifts out. So, when you first open this up, you find this. So, CD drive, CPU fan, power supply, hard drive is underneath there. So usually the first thing I do is I pull this. So it's kind of a shroud that covers the area surrounding the CPU. I don't really know what it's for. I guess maybe it optimizes airflow in that area. But for whatever reason, I find it gets in the way, and honestly, I've never found it to be necessary. I'm sure somebody would tell me it is, but I've run a lot of these. I usually pull it out and leave it out for ease of maintenance, future maintenance on the machine. So these pull like this, and that comes out. You can do what you want with it. So then the next step on this is the removal of the CD drive. So you have this one right here is the power plug. You just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Don't apply too much pressure, but you kind of pull just a little bit. If you pull enough, it'll release. And then the second one is just a standard SATA power, or a standard SATA data cable. Then this right here, this tab, it lifts up and the entire device pulls back and comes out. So how this is configured is going to depend on your particular machine. This particular set of units I have, the company that I get them from, they configure them with two 2.5 hard drives on a special sled thingy that goes in the hard drive caddy. So to remove the entire caddy, the first thing you want to do is this plug right here. So this right here is a splitter that gives power. I'm guessing most of these won't have this. This has it. If yours is configured in this way, it'll have it as well. It's a two-part splitter, so it gives SATA power to two drives instead of just one. Otherwise, you just have this one, which you can pull out. And then, in order to remove this entire caddy, probably the easiest way to do this is going to be to pull the SATA cables off the motherboard. So just give it a little tug. It'll come out. They're not, these ones don't have locking mechanisms on them. I guess I can't promise no Dell does, but typically Dell doesn't use locking mechanisms on their business class cables. At least I don't typically see them. So same thing with the second one. So it's this second cable here. You see it going down to the motherboard. You just pull a little bit, give it a firm pull, and it'll come out. So then to remove this, the way we do it, let me see if I can get that for the camera. I guess I'll just leave it the way it was. Okay, so to unlock this mechanism, you push it that way. So I guess towards what would normally be the back of the computer. You push this. It's got a little finger hole to push on. Push it like that. And then this entire mechanism, it's hinged here and here, lifts up really easy, just like that. So then the way I was showing this is configured, this has two hard drives in it, and the way that that's set up, if yours is like that, it's just a standard Dell hard drive caddy. It pulls out like a standard Dell hard drive caddy. Set that off to the side here. And then it's the size of a normal hard drive, but it's two SATA notebook size drive, 2.5 notebook drives on one. And they're screwed on the sides. You just unscrew the screws, they pop right out. And then they have this specialized two-way splitter for the power. and that just pulls right out. And that's like so. So it's just a two-way. It's got SATA input on one end, output on the other. And then again, these are just standard 2.5. They're, for those of you not familiar, these would be laptop hard drives. So then we're left with, I'm going to pull this out just to make our lives a little easier here. So, a few different things in here. You've got your power supply right here. You've got your memory here. It is worth noting this does have 4 RAM slots, so it's very, very easy to upgrade RAM. This will definitely take 32 gigs of RAM. I've never seen a 4th gen that didn't take 32 gigs of RAM if it was configured as a 4-slot board. It does have USB 3.0 connected to a front panel as well as rear USB 3.0. This guy right here would be our front panel USB 3.0. It does have standard sized SATA. Well, I guess small form factor, but it's much more standard than a lot of the other small form factors you'll see in this size. This particular unit was owned by a company that needed extra Ethernet, so these are 2 Ethernet cards. Yours probably won't have this. This is I don't even know if they ordered this like this from Dell. This is a special configuration they did for their purposes. I'm going to link a video of game testing this with Fortnite. I was able to get it to run at full 1080p resolution. It did run at low settings, but as I commented on the video, it runs well at low settings. It's not one of those situations where you turn it down to low and it still struggles. That was with a small form factor AMD Radeon 7750. You can now get a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti that will slot right in right there. So if you wanted to turn one of these into a really rather potent gaming desktop, you definitely could. So RAM is our normal, just our normal stuff. You press and it comes out. Same thing, second one, press and it comes out. And then in order to remove our CPU, it's just standard stuff. 1 screw on each corner. This particular unit is configured as a Core i7 4790 with 8 gigs of RAM and I believe 2 320 gig 7200 RPM drives. I think they were running in RAID. It is worth noting that there aren't any special requirements as far as wattage on the CPU. This will take a standard desktop processor. It doesn't require a specialized T or S ultra low voltage chip. So pretty much any 4th gen i3, i5, i7 should work on this. I'm not sure exactly which ones Dell supports, but 4790 was the refresh. So it really should take any chip from this this generation. I'm trying to think what else we would want to go over here. Let's see here. No, I think this is everything important. You have full access to the board here. Power supply is a little bit different than a standard desktop power supply. It's the main. Your 24 pin is this. It doesn't have the 24 pin. It has this small 8, or I guess 8 with 1 pin missing setup. It's worth noting the fan, although it is standard 1155, 1156, 1150, 1151, whatever you want to call it, mounting. It does use a proprietary Dell connector. You could probably jerry-rig something if you really wanted to, but it is worth noting that you're not going to grab a fan right off the shelf and plop it in here, even though the mounting is standard. Standard 4-pin motherboard plug. This does also mean that you're probably not going, there's probably some sort of adapter, but in lieu of that, you're probably not going to just rip this board out and drop it in another unit, or, yeah, because you'd have to take this power supply or get some way, you're not going to put this in a normal desktop, or you'd have to get some way to adapt over, which I didn't look. I'm sure they exist. There's always someone that does this stuff, but I really wouldn't recommend, because I always get, the last one of these I did, I've gotten a few curious questions on transferring them, and it's not ideal. It could be done if you really wanted to hack something up and jerry-rig it, but I definitely would recommend against it. I think that's everything of specific interest on here. This is probably deeper than most people are going to want to go to begin with. Most people are just going to be looking to replace their RAM or their hard drive. Assuming it's a normal hard drive, it'll literally, you'll see how it works when you do it, but these just kind of pull back, it flexes, and then when you push it back or when you let it go, these pins, as long as you line them up right, they snap into place on the hard drive. So anyway, I hope everybody finds this useful. Again, this is a decent little overview on the capabilities and expandability of this particular unit. Thanks for watching the video.